Hello, my name is Justin Birchall. I am a baritone and I'm the singer on the October 10th Emerging Artists Series recital for Boston Court Pasadena. And today I'm talking to Brent McMunn, who is the coach, accompanist, mentor for that recital. And I'm talking to Michael Welsh, who is the composer of Sky Descent, a brand new song cycle that was commissioned specifically for this recital. So, Michael, for audience members who may be interested in what we're gonna bring them next weekend or 2 weekends from now, can you tell us a little bit about the text of this piece, where you got the song texts and what they were inspired by, and
Sure.
maybe what they can expect from the piece?
Yeah, it came from a book by Doris Lessing called Briefing for a Descent into Hell. And I read it in 78, I think. It was published in 71. I started calling her agent. I was so taken by these texts, but they didn't make any sense if you took them out of context in certain ways. So I kept calling him, and he finally got tired of me bugging him. So he put me in touch with her directly. And I spoke to her 3 times. And when I think back on it now, it was kind of a big thing to ask. Let me take your words out of context and then cut and paste the hell out of them, and then we'll make something out of it. But she got that what I wanted to do was to do that very thing, but to make a real dramatic arch to the 5 sections, the 5 movements of the piece. So she agreed to all that, and I was thrilled with it, but I didn't know what to do with it until in January when Mark Saltzman said, would you write a piece? And I thought, okay, this is the time for these words, because I didn't really know what the words were about until the whole COVID lockdown thing happened. And they're about isolation,
Mm-hmm.
and not being tethered to anything. The protagonist in the story is a man who finds himself on a raft in the middle of the ocean, and these songs and poems are sung to him from the shore of these native people. And it's all, you don't know if it's a real hallucination or how much of it happened, but they're very evocative things. They're very bizarre texts, but to me, they were very evocative. And I'm just thrilled that you and Brent are going to perform them.
So maybe our audiences will recognize a little bit of the experience of this protagonist in these days of strange isolation.
Yeah, hypnotic, feeling unanchored until the very last song. The last song is very sentimental. It's hearkening back to something he doesn't have. He keeps saying, if horses still ran on the shore. So the last, it kind of comes together in the very last song about a little bit of resolution. Because the title Sky Descent I just made up because I thought it was important that we got that idea that he came from the sky, he went down onto the ocean on a raft, and then he goes to the bottom of the ocean. He just keeps descending.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many great images in it that's why I was so drawn to it.
Yeah, well, it turned out wonderful from my point of view. Brent, you and I have now been living with these songs for a while now, learning them, practicing them. I wonder if you could say a word about what it's like working on these pieces, of what it's like working on Michael's music, and where you're at in your current evolving relationship with this work.
Well, it's always a privilege to make the music of a dear friend, and it's been kind of wonderful to play so much of Michael's music over time. I've always felt he has his own voice, and I want way more of the world to hear it. I think most composers that I know don't really like to describe what their music is going to sound like by referencing much, and I get that. I don't know that they like it when other people do. But I would like to say, because here's an audience, I don't know what to expect. Should I spend my time on Zoom and watch this concert? Well, there are three main groups on the concert. They all have their completely own voice, and all of the music invites you in. This isn't talking about like some alienating isolation, like mental exercise.
Right.
And I think, to me, Michael's music has always, he uses sort of the post Adams Reich minimalist techniques to an extent. So he always establishes a flow that immediately invites you in. And then it's the subtle harmonic. It's like unexpected, but not alienating. These beautiful, subtle changes that draw you in farther, sort of foray-like. So there's always a flow to enter into. And then I think the way he set these texts are fresh and confident, and they seem so natural to me. I mean, Justin, you mentioned that it's fun just to hear the track that I sent you of just the piano part. I mean, it's fun just to hear that music alone, but I can't sit down at the piano and play it without delivering the poems because they feel so natural to me.
Yeah, I think that you really hit the nail on the head there with the combination of inviting but also surprising. I think each one of these, the cycle is in 5 movements, which we're going to perform all 5 on the 10th, and each one of them has its own total kind of mood space, and then within that space, each one like shifts, almost prismatic, how it takes you through the variations of each of those mood spaces. And I think our audience will find the music extremely not just beautiful, but really kind of pleasurable, really enjoyable to listen to. And I know that I'm really enjoying working on it, and it's such a privilege. So thank you, Michael.
This is my pleasure. Looking forward to it.
And with that, I think we'll call it there.